Okay, one of the things I've started doing, I got my photos taken, one of the things I've started doing is getting project boxes, okay? And with these boxes, I can take my parts. That's not going to work. I had a bigger one over there, but if I just do some of this, I'm clipping it off the sprue. I'm not clipping it where the gates come off. I'm just cutting the big pieces like this. So I will clean it up later and get those nibs off there properly. It'll fit in there like that. This way these parts are protected while I'm working on them. I have something called a Thunder Paws, and he's very curious about everything I do. He's 2 or 3 years old. He's 17-pound Maine Coon Tomcat. And he wants in something at 17 pounds, he gets in something. And you guys have seen him, he's not fat, he's just big kitty cat. There, now the solar cells are protected, they're not getting into anything, nothing's getting into them. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing with the ball section and all the interior parts I pull off. Alright? That way, I am not losing any parts as I work. Okay? Sorry I walked away, I'm getting some paper towel. Alright. I got this green poster board for taking photos too. Let me get it off here. I've got many colors of poster board for my background photos. The parts being gray and black, I don't want to use a white poster board because they'll wash out in the white. Now, we're going to separate the ball parts again. Okay? I am not cutting them properly because I'm not separating them to be cleaned up right now. I'm just pulling them off the sprue so I can evaluate and play with them. I will clean them up in a little bit. Okay? I'm wanting to see how things fit together. If it's possible to light the interior of this thing and to light the exterior. That's what we're looking at right now. Well, the exterior, yeah, that's 4 lights. I know I can light the exterior of this kit. If I can't light those lasers and those ion engines, I got some problems. Basically how I look at it. Okay? And again, I'm not really cutting these off to make them clean or nothing. That's why I'm doing the big cuts. I think that's all I need right now. We'll look at it in a minute. Okay, I'm going to have to pull that off there. And possibly clean that a little bit. Maybe not, we'll see. Might just be enough to do that. Okay, maybe they're keyed to go in one way and one way only. Maybe I don't have the proper part here. Cannot tell. These aren't going to fit together because I've got those sprue marks on there, those gate marks on there. So don't worry about that. It looks like they're going to fit together really nicely though. Okay. I might have to take a look at how this works. Because I thought they went like, oh, there we go. They're keyed. They only go on one way. There we go, like that. Okay? Looks like I'm going to be doing some snipping. More snipping than I'd like. Well, these things are just coming apart. They're falling apart. Looks like Fine Mold's gated that stuff very, very nicely. Now, while I went downstairs to get the camera, some solutions came to mind to my lighting problems. Photo etch, that brass is pretty stiff stuff. It's possible I could bend it to the shape and it'll hold the shape on its own. So it is possible I could get it to work without these support pieces. We will see. It's also possible I could take some tape along the back edge of them, some really thin tape, and hold them together that way. Now, let me get this floor piece and see how it sits in here. I would think it sits like that. Or like that. I don't think it matters that much how the floor piece sits in here, to be honest with you. I'm looking just to see if it has space around the outer edge of this thing, and I think it will. Oh, dropping pieces, dropping pieces. Not fun, not fun. We can't go dropping pieces. You know what I should get? I should get some tape and just lightly tape everything together. That's what a lot of you would have done already, but not me. Yeah, I'm gonna get some tape. Hang on a second, guys. Back again. Got some tape. I'm not trying to tape this on beautifully. I'm not gluing this temporarily. There's no such thing as temporary glue when it comes to styrene and styrene glue. I mean, you could. I've seen people use super glue as temporary glue, and it would work. It wouldn't work the way I'd want it to. This works much better as a temporary thing, and yeah, I'm using Tamiya tape for this. This is what I grabbed, okay? I have cheaper masking tape in there. I just grabbed this. Now, I want to see how this sits in this ball, okay? Because if it sits in here well enough that there's room, and I bet there's room. Okay, can you guys see that? How much room is in there? I've got room to ring that thing with LEDs on each side. There is room. So that interior is going to get lit. So one of the first things I had to do is get that photo etch off, paint it, and see how it gets bent and mounted inside here. That's one of the first things to do. So that's what I'm going to work on now. I'm going to go ahead and pause the camera and clean this up and put these parts away in a safe storage bin, so I do not lose them to the thunder pause, and come back in a little bit and talk about photo etch and cutting photo etch and working with photo etch. Okay? So let me bin my parts. And I don't know if any of you have thought about doing these project box sort of things, but again, I do it because I have a cat named Thunderpaws. And, well, putting it in here, putting the lid down on top of it, sealing it like that, you can knock it off the top of the countertop. It's not going to hurt those parts with the layers of paper towel between the parts. Okay? So photo etch, what do we do about photo etch? We need to remove some photo etch parts tonight and take a look at how they go together. Okay? Cutting photo etch off the sprue, you do not use your hobby mat like this. I have a thing I use for cutting photo etch. Let me pause the camera while I find it, because I'm not quite sure where it is. Okay, what I have here is a very hard cutting board. I use it mainly for tape work. You can see I use it a lot, okay? You need something hard. A lot of you use glass tiles, ceramic tiles. I don't have a ceramic tile here. I am going to a home improvement store tomorrow so I can get one. I'm not going there just to get one. I usually have a yellow one I like to use because it's harder than this red one. Really hard plastic. I like using the plastic instead of the glass tiles because my knife blades last a teeny bit longer. And yeah, this is not good on knife blades. What I have in hand is good old number 11 blade for the larger knife. Okay? And I'm working on cutting these guys out. Now, before I do that, I'm only going to cut one of them out for now. they need to be numbered because each one goes in a specific place. Let me look at the decals here. They correspond really well to the same order of the decals on the decal sheet. So if I get them out of order, I'm okay. Alright? And we're going to talk about decals on this thing in a little bit because this decal sheet is pathetic compared to what I've seen of the filming models. The filming models actually have writing and words on them in some places. And none of that's there. Yeah, there's one. Number 14. Okay? So, that being said, what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut out this first one and only this first one. Okay? Now, the frets on this photo etch are pretty thin, so they cut pretty quickly, and you'll notice I'm pressing down on it kind of hard. And you'll also notice that the photo etch is not bending as I cut. That's why you want a hard surface to cut photo etch on, especially in some of these places here. You don't want that photo etch part bending as you cut it. And it came out pretty clean. The edges aren't going to be too bad on this piece. I am going to take a file and clean up the edges real quick, but this is not an exterior part. It's not something you would see outside of the model itself. Okay? So it's not imperative that I clean it beautifully or perfectly. Okay? Now, it might be imperative because it might be writing right up next to its brother piece of photo etch. And if that's the case, I want this done really well. And yes, I'm using a file on it. You can use sandpaper as well. Sandpaper does work on them. And I don't have to do too much, because the gate marks on this photo etch are really thin. Yeah, see, it's going across my fingernail without cutting my finger. So it doesn't take much to clean these up. There we go. That's good. This was one here. Now, another thing I like about Paragraphics photo etch is that if you take a good look at it, and I'm going to pull the camera up here, I'm going to put the flatten my palm thing and see if the camera will focus on it. And it's there, it kind of goes. You can see the grooves between the rectangular segments. That's grooved, so I can take it and just bend it, and it'll bend at that groove. Now, supposedly it'll bend at that groove. It's giving me a little trouble right now and not really bending there. And with all the holes in this photo etch, it wouldn't surprise me if it does that. So what I'm going to do is walk over here to my tool rack, and I'm getting out a photo etch bender. Okay? Now, I got this on eBay. I'm going to admit that. It's Motion Devices Engineering, but I got it on eBay. Feels like it's all metal. Sounds like it. Okay? This isn't going to bend big photo etch, but that's not what I need it for. You screw it up. Take your part. You put it under there, and you put it up to the phone mark. I get the feeling I'm going to get tired of doing this. Now, that blade would work if it came with these. And I think these aren't for what I'm using them for, but who cares? Okay, it's greased a little bit, but it'll fit under there. And hopefully I don't break this part. And then you see it bent. Now, I made a mistake there. Anyone know what my mistake was? I should have bent the center first. That's what I should have done. And let me get my inside part out and let's see if we've got a good bend on it. If need be, I could bend it some more. But no, I got a good bend on it. You guys can see that on camera. I got a really good bend on that part. In fact, I could probably just lay this thing down in here. Yeah, and it's taking on that shape really quickly. Okay. See, we got our shape already. And okay. That seems to follow that contour really well. I may not have to use this a whole heck of a lot. But I'm going to leave it out because I'm going to do some test folding with some of the other smaller parts in a few minutes. Okay? Now, one thing I need to see is if an LED is bright enough to backlight this thing. Okay? So, I go over to my power supply. Don't know if I've got any red LEDs out. And I can tell I haven't used the power supply in a while because one of my leads has come undone. So I'm fixing that real quick. Yeah, you know, I should plan ahead all this stuff, right? No, I didn't. I haven't turned this power supply on in months either, not since the Mercury 9 was done. That was about a year ago. There we go. We got my two leads done. I'm setting the voltage, not to 9 volts, because I'm testing an LED to see if it's red or blue. So, I'm setting it to 1.7. Now, I got a box that's labeled red, yellow, green, or blue LEDs. So, you know, I could just do it that way, but these LEDs are sitting right here. And at 1.7 volts, it won't fry a red one, but it'll turn on. It won't even turn on a blue or white one. Now, if I raise the voltage to 2, it'll turn them on. And the one I just happened to grab is pink, which might have worked. Might. I'd rather have a red one, especially one of these little red ones. Let me try this one. Okay, that one is yellow. That won't work either. Yellow. I'm at the point where I should just get up and go get a red one, right? Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to pause the camera and go get a red one.